Hello, my name is Rachel and today I'm talking about what I read for Trans Rights Readathon. Trans Rights Readathon was a readathon that was put together by Sim Kern, and we were all supposed to read trans books and then donate for each one that we read if we were able to. So I'm going to talk about what I read. I was only able to finish 3 books. Unfortunately, it was kind of a busy week. I found out kind of last minute that my school board was going to have another hearing about a book written by a trans author, actually, which I will talk about. I found this out and I went yesterday and I had to kind of prepare. I found out how much time we had, which was supposed to be 3 minutes, and then I got there and they were like, okay, you have a minute and a half, and I was like, anyway, just preparing for all that was kind of a disaster, and anyway, all this to say, I also had a lot of other work I had to do, and I didn't get to read as much as I would like. I only read 3 books. One of them was the book that ended up getting banned by my county, which sucked. I'll do a whole video on that because I have so much to say that I could not pack into 90 seconds, and I would really like the opportunity to shame my school board. Like, I would really like the opportunity to say very clearly and directly, you all made a terrible decision. And I would also like to speak to every single one of those people, which I did speak to some of them. I will talk about this in another video. I just want to shame them. Anyway, okay, this is not that video. I did end up donating $20 for each book I read. Here's the receipt. I didn't end up donating to the original organization, which was sort of like a nationwide thing. My friend Nate, who watches my channel, Nate from Nate Reads Diversely, I will link channel down below. Nate shouted out a organization that Nate worked with, volunteered with, called Transgender Assistance Program in Virginia. They help people who are unhoused or in need of assistance. Typically people who are transgender get shoved into homeless shelters, having to stay with, like, everybody has to stay with their biological sex, which sex is not gender, and this can put trans people in danger. So I happily donated to the Transgender Assistance Program of Virginia. They help out trans folks in need of housing. It is a nonprofit, it is all trans led, and it is for safe emergency housing for transgender adults in Virginia. And they also do activist work to help end homelessness, as far as like educating on the issue of unhousing and how that's a huge problem, especially for queer folks, because of systemic issues and bias. Anyways, let me know who you donated to if you were able to down below, and with that, I guess I'll get into what I read. So as I said, I read 3 books. I read Fina by Nino Cipri, which is a very short book about a queer woman and her ex, Jules, her ex-partner, and they work together at basically IKEA, but you know, not IKEA. And one day they're working on their shift and Jules wasn't even supposed to go, or not Jules, Ava, our main character, was not even supposed to go in that day, but she had to go in because somebody called out. And I think the person who called out is the person who's in the next book in this series of short books. Anyway, so it's such a goofy, it's very Doctor Who, like it's very Doctor Who, where it's like silly, but also there's like a sinister thing coming after you. Like, it's very Doctor Who. It's also very short. You can read it so fast. I loved the audiobook. Okay, so Ava and Jules are on shift, and on their shift at not IKEA, an old lady, a grandma, goes missing. So they look and look and they can't find this woman, and so they get called in by management. Everybody gets called in and they have to watch this video, and they're like, by the way, sometimes every once in a while, basically like a wormhole into another dimension opens up in our store. So somebody's gonna have to go get this woman. And they go to find the woman, and she died inside like another universe. And so this like piece of technology that not IKEA gave them in order to find the woman reroutes to the closest available replacement in another universe. So they have to go find a replacement for this woman to bring back for her granddaughter. And so they go through like these really sinister worlds. One is like a cafeteria that makes you pay in blood, and it's so wild and a little goofy at times, but it's also, it's very like, it's obviously trying to have that conversation about like workers having to do the most for the least. It's very anti-capitalist, but it's also about like breakups and mental health, and it really packs quite a lot into such a short read and does it all very well. I was very impressed by this. I highly recommend it. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I rounded up to 5 on Goodreads, but yeah, 4.5 for Fina by Nino Cipri. I really loved it. Like I hope you all will read it so that we can talk about it because I loved it. I also read This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson, which was just banned yesterday by my county throughout all middle schools. What a fucking disaster. Juno Dawson is a trans woman and This Book is Gay is a nonfiction book about figuring out, you know, your sexuality, understanding that sexuality and gender are fluid and you don't have to decide right now and you don't have to decide at all. The only issues I have with this book are like, it is teaching sort of sex ed, like actually like the mechanics of having sex, but not as far as I would have liked it. So it like very much centers, I felt very much centers penises, and it does not talk about vaginas enough. Like, I feel like if we're gonna have a sex ed conversation, we should talk about also periods, and we should also talk about like vaginismus and stuff like that. Like, if we're gonna have that conversation and teach, you know, kids sex ed, especially, you know, and centering queer youth, great, but we have to do all of it. Like, let's not do some of it. But that's the thing, is like, that book is 10 years old and there's better books now. I wish there were more, but yeah, I have more to say on that, but I'm gonna talk about it in the video where I talk about what happened yesterday at my county school board. I'm so fucking frustrated. By the way, today's makeup, my patrons asked for trans pride flag vibes like several videos ago, and I didn't love how that came out, so I wanted to redo it, and I like this much better. I like the double wing. I feel like this is better. Let me know which one you like better. I just realized that there's Cocoa Krispies spilled all over my floor. I don't know which child did that. And the other book I read was Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag. This is a graphic novel about a kid named Aster and his family. This is like an alternate universe of some sort. It clearly is not meant to be like our world, but with magic. It's like, I don't really know how to describe it, but in his family, for some reason, he lives like separated from the rest of the world, and his family, everybody has magic based, if you are a girl, you are a witch, and if you're a boy, you're a shifter. But Aster hasn't shifted yet, and he's more drawn to doing witch magic, which is like banned by his family. Very strict gender roles about your magic. And I thought that this was such cute art and a really cute story. I would even read it to my kids. Like, it's very, I think this works for all ages, just based on like how fun the story is and how great the art is and how engaging it is. And it's got a good message that is clear to like kids and adults. And also, I think that I would read this to my kids in particular because of school. My kids have been coming home saying things about like dividing girls and boys. Like, even my youngest, who just turned 4 last week, started saying, this is a kid and this is a girl. And then like I brought home a bunch of shirts, that whole Target thing where that mom was upset about girl shirts being for boys. I brought home a bunch of them, and my youngest said, is this a girl shirt? And I said, no, it's a shirt. And he didn't learn that anywhere but school. Like, it's the only place. And then he was like, it's for me? And I said, yeah. And he said, oh, that's my favorite shirt. And now he has to wear it all the time, which is actually a little frustrating because now I have to wash it every single night so that he can wear it every single day. I almost regret buying the not girl shirt. Ah! It's fine. I just go through a lot of Tide. That poor thing is gonna be threadbare by like 6 weeks from now. God help me if he has to like wear it to soccer practice. I'm gonna have to explain that he actually has to wear a jersey. Anyways, all this to say, I think that it's a great book for all ages. The problem I have with it, and the reason I didn't rate it, is because I felt like the weird, Molly Knox Ostertag, as far as I know, is not indigenous, and like the use of like spirit magic I felt was like, a little, because of like the racial ambiguity of the story and the characters, I was like, oh, this might be a little bit appropriative. I have not seen anybody from the indigenous community review it, so I would be interested to know what their thoughts are on it. I didn't end up rating it, so like, yes, I liked it, but with that caveat. So make sure you listen to indigenous reviewers. By the way, I think I would give Juno Dawson's book like a 4, I guess. I don't know. I always have trouble rating nonfiction. I guess like a 4. Like, it's fine. It wasn't really great about ace rep, and it wasn't great about like centering like vaginas and uteruses. So like, I feel like trans men may feel like, hey, where the fuck am I in this? As far as like, you know, that side of the LGBT community. Vaguely mentioned intersex. It mentioned it, but it didn't. I felt like it could have done a lot more. But I appreciate it for what it is, in that it talks a lot about stereotypes, the harm of stereotypes, and what I really appreciated about it was that it said, take all of this information and say, and I think that that was such a great way to tell kids, like, you don't have to take this book as gospel, which is the opposite of what I was taught about the literal gospel. You can take it and think it over. And it also like calls out to parents, and it's like, you know, have these conversations with your kids. Like the end note is to parents about like, you know, maybe your kid picked this up, but maybe you want to read it with them. And I feel like it did such a good job, which is why yesterday with it being banned and the context, the way that people were talking about it, the disingenuous way they were talking about it was so fucking frustrating. Again, I'll talk about that in another video. I don't have the spoons today. All right, let me know what you read for Trans Rights Readathon, and Sim Kern, I hope you do this again next year. I'm really appreciative that we did this, and yeah, okay, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye. Hi, it's me, Trash Can Rachel, and I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons. And those are Allie, Amanda, Ashley, Chris, Claire, Des Roberts, Emperor's New Blues, Eric, Harley, Jack and Jill, John E, Casey McKenzie, Kate W, Kelly K, Quinn, Lex, Lula, Molly, Mrs. Kittybug, Witch Bitch, Rain, Samar, Scarlett, Shiny, Sierra, Tori, and Zachary. Thank you all so much for being a friend. Before I go out to say thank you for being a friend to my Potato Starch Marxist patrons, and those are AM Angel, Aiden, Alexander, Alicia, Amanda B, and crap. Andy, Angelica, Anita, Artie the Ninth, Ava, BB, Blythe, Ray, Bryn, Caitlin, Carlin, Catherine, Kathy, Celia, Cheyenne, Chris, CJ, Corwin, Darren, Deandra, Deborah, Diet Goth, Dorian, Douglas, Ebby, Eden, Elise, Elia, Ember, Emily, Ava, Faith, Grace, Gracie, Hannah C, Hannah T, Horror Goose, Ilianaka, India Inks, JM Tennant, JT, Jen with 2 N's, Jenny, Jillian, Jules, Kaylee, Katya, Keely, Kelsey, Kylie, L. Lindbergh, Laura, Library of Scars, Liz Cardigan, Luna Moth, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Maddie, Marcella, Marquita, Melara, Miriam, Moog, Morgan R, Moth, MXDS. Hold on, I have to open a package of gummies for my 4-year-old. For some reason, they make gummy packages parent-proof now. Okay. Moving on. James, Nat, Never, Nicole R, Nikki, Nyan Binary, Paige E, Paige P, Peggy Lou, Pixel Stars, Pierre Raytheon, Pocket, Quill, Rachel B, Raquel, Rat Sarah, Reba, Rebecca, Ren, Robin, Rowan, Other Rowan, Samantha, Sarah, Scarlett, Shanae, Shannon, Shayna, Sheena K, Sean, Stephanie, Steven, Talia, 3 Old Dogs, Tiana, Trash Can Teddy, Sev, Writer A, and Yesenia. Thank you all so much for being a friend.